Shabbat Shalom, and all that great stuff, to the brothers and sisters worldwide, the 12 tribes of ancient Israel that have been scattered abroad, and specifically where the location where I'm at, the uptown section of Richmond, California, Civic Center, San Francisco Bay Area, Northern California, like the brother E40 say. I'm going to be reading again. I'm going to flip the camera. Êvê Aka, would you like to know the truth about black people's identity? So I'm back to read this section to kind of recap a little bit. Named after ancient people, the Êvê people did not originate from West Africa. They came the Middle East, where they used to be mighty people with a world-renowned name. Now read it again. Named after ancient people, the Êvê people, which are known in the world as the ancient Israelites, or the Hebrews, the ancient Hebrews. The Êvê people did not originate from West Africa. They came from the Middle East, where there used to be a mighty people with a world-renowned name. Now, getting to meet our ancestors. Meet the Êvê, aka, the Êvê, aka as I mentioned earlier, we are the Êvê people. The secret you didn't know is Êvê means he. Therefore, to rephrase the last statement you read, we are the Hebrew people. The name Êvê, or Êvê, the original name which translates into English as Hebrew. Thus, without beating about the bush, our ancestors and us, all the ancient Israelites. The ancient Israelites were not called Jews. They were Êvê. Now let's read that again. The name Êvê is the original name which translates into English as Hebrew. Thus, without beating about the bush, our ancestors, and us are the ancient Israelites. The ancient Israelites were not called Jews. They were called, or they were Êvê. And like those who have seen, Josh Bernstein, I think that's his name, with digging for the truth. He came and said, "Oh, you guys are the ancient," or something like that. Or you guys are, oh, they always use those words like claim. Always try to kind of give you the quote, but not the cigar type, statement, the phrases that they use to pay attention to these people be talking. They always try to out of your own culture. So when he was saying, so you guys claim to be ancient Jews, and he said, nah, not claim, we are. When he went down to South Africa, the Limbo tribe and stuff. Now, for others, they might look at that and be like, man, them Hamites and stuff like that. Stuff could be. That's a good discussion, a good topic, but I can assure you this, that for a lot of the Israelites here in the Americas or whatnot, and different areas with this camp mentality and trying to make people in Africa be Hamites, I mean, it's kind of like a contradictory statement when in fact you mentioned that 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 there's Israelites that are still in the area, but yet anytime somebody from Africa, West Africa specifically, comes up and listens and speaks, and then you hear the accent to indicate that they may be from over there, then if they say something you don't agree with, then all of a sudden they being attacked. I mean, hell, you do that to other Israelites that got fringes on with the border of blue that know that they Israelites. So, like Mac Dre say, the game is thick. You know, the game, I'm saying the game is smirking if you really look at it, because it really is a game, but it doesn't have to be. So like with Josh Bernstein and stuff, when he was like, oh, you guys are claiming to be ancient Jews. And no, how are you speaking Hebrew? The first word when I came to this village is Shalom. So you guys are claiming to be Hebrew. We are not claimed. We are. And then he said, you are? Okay. So he tried to basically they put themselves in a position that, hey, look, you know, we are the originals and you guys are just, you know, how they use the term, a part of the tribe. How about this? How about you? How about we proselytize or convert you? Like it says within our Hebraic constitution, aka the Torah, you know, different places in Hadassah, aka Esther, and many other spots, and even with the Torah itself, the teachings or instructions itself about certain nations that can come in, certain nations can't. You know, Moab and Ammon, nope, they can't never come in, ever. But let me get back on point. We are reading the Êvê Aka The Hebrew. That was necessary to elaborate when it mentioned that, thus, without beating about the bush, our ancestors and us are the ancient Israelites. In other words, the Êvê, the long pronounced name that we're pulling off the wool over people's eyes so they can see it. And so we are. We don't have to claim. We don't have to convert to some culture from another culture, making a religion and trying to make us convert to that. When you look in certain old ancient documents, Talmud and all the different things, and it makes it clear that some of you people came to us to convert, you know, to wait. So some people out there, they know. I'm not going to even get into that because I'm going to start to sound like some of these camps. And that, like, rapper said out there, really rich, that's what I hate. But we will continue. Yeah, okay, I'll recap. The name Êvê is the original name which translates into English as Hebrew. Thus, without beating about the bush, our ancestors and us are the ancient Israelites. Are the ancient Israelites. The ancient Israelites, were not called Jews. They were Êvê. So that's a lot of wind. You may be sitting there thinking, the Israelites were called Jews. Well, you are wrong. If you were to travel back in time, meet the Israelites and mention names like Israelites or Jews to them, they would stare at you blankly. They would have no idea what you are talking about because those were not their names. It may be surprising to most people to find the literal word is not in the entire original text of the Bible. There is no name like that in either the Old or the New Testaments. The original Hebrew of the Old Testament uses the word Yahudim, meaning Judite, other words, a Judean. The original Greek of the New, I'm assuming that's Kohen Greek. The original Greek of the New Testament uses the word Iodios. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm going to do the best I can. Bear with it. Meaning Judean. Earlier translators kept the original name. Unfortunately, the word Jew has replaced them in recent times. And I'll read that again. Unfortunately, the word Jew has replaced them in recent times. On the other hand, according to the original text, Êvê is the proper name of the ancient Israelites, and the name started with Abraham. Genesis of Bereshit, Barashit, 14, 14 and 13. Consider the following examples where the name Êvê translates into English as Hebrew is used to denote the nationality of the Israelites. Bereshit, or Genesis 14 and 13. And there came one that had escaped and told Abram, the Hebrew, or Abram the Êvê. In the verse, please note Abraham or Abraham is the first one referred to as a Hebrew in the Bible, or an Israel. Also, Jonah 1 and 9. He answered, I am an Êvê, or I am a Hebrew, and I worship Yahweh. They say the Lord, but Lord and God was something they added in. I hate for them to say that name. Even though they say Adonai or Elohim, means master. And I worship Yahweh, the power of heaven, or the Elohim, or the power of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land. Jonah 1 and 9. Bereshit, or Genesis 39, 13 through 18. Verse 13. When she saw that he had left his cloak in her hand and had run out of the house, she called her household servant. Look, she said to him, this Êvê, or this Hebrew, has been brought to us sportively. He came in here to sleep with me, but I screamed. When he heard me scream for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house. She kept his cloak beside her until his master came home. Verse 17. Then she told him this story: that Êvê, the Êvê, or that Êvê, or Hebrew slave, or that Êvê Krovi, you brought us, came to me to make sport of me. But as soon as I screamed for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house. Genesis 39, verses 13 through 18. 15. I was forcibly carried off from the land of the Hebrews, of the Êvê, and even here I have done nothing to deserve being put in a dungeon. Genesis 40 and 15. Hopefully that was heard. Hopefully I didn't have my finger on the mic. 6. She opened it and saw the baby. He was crying, and she felt sorry for him. This is one of the Êvê, or the Hebrews' babies. She said, then his sister asked Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and get one of the Êvê, or the Hebrew, women to nurse the baby for you? Exodus, or Shemot, 2 and 6 and verses 6 and 7. Exodus, or Shemot, chapter 2, verse 11 through 13. One day after Moshe had grown up, he went out to where his own people were and watched them at their hard labor. He saw in Mitzri, or a Chemite, or an Egyptian, beating an Êvê, or a Hebrew, one of his own people. Looking this way and that way, seeing no one, he killed the Chemite, or the Egyptian, or the Mitzri, and hid him in the sand. The next day he went out and saw two Hebrews, or two Êvê, the Êvê, fighting. He asked the one in the wrong, why are you hitting your fellow Êvê, or your fellow Hebrew? Exodus 2 and 11 through 13. 1 Samuel 4 and 6. Hearing the uproar, the Philistine asked, what's all this shouting in the Êvê, the Hebrew camp? Okay, there we go. Getting to the meat now. We've seen this before, people. I-E-R-I. Jewish people, they pronounce it the Ivri. Ivri means Êvê. Ivri, some people say Ibar, some people say Abri, Ibarya. The Ivri means Êvê.
Ivri means Êvê. Now read. As you can see, the verses clearly show the national identity of the Israelites is Hebrew, or Êvê, which is the English translation of the name Êvê. How the name Êvê became Hebrew is what I will explain next. How Ivri became Hebrew. That's Aramaic. That's the Êvê. That is Aramaic. Those characters that the modern Jewry say that is Hebrew, that is not Hebrew. That is Aramaic that came out of Babylon. Prior to that, we didn't use those characters. That's just a note. So how Ivri became Hebrew. The Israelites wrote their name in the language with the letters Yod, Resh, Bet, and Ayin. I think that's what it is. No, I don't even think I'm even saying that right. That's not a Resh. Wait a minute. What is that? Well, I'll just continue. The letters Ivri represent Yod. Yeah, I think it is Resh, Beit, Ayin in English. The original tongue used to write the Bible. In the original tongue used to write the Bible or the Tanakh, the word the letters represent is pronounced Êvê. Some people they might say Erver, the Erver, because they don't know how to pronounce it, but once you practice it, it becomes easy. Êvê. So again, in the original tongue used to write the Tanakh or the Bible, the word the letters represent is pronounced Êvê, the Êvê. A direct translation of the name of the ancient Israelites will read Ivri, pronounced, or the Ivri pronounced Êvê. However, in time, this true name of the Israelites took a back seat. What replaced the name of the Israelites is a great departure from the truth. To make matters worse, the name Hebrew comes from a double translation from the original name. Let me explain what I mean by all of that. Pay attention, peoples. This is pretty deep here. The name Hebrew is the English translation of the name pronounced Êvê from Latin. That means the first translation of the name of the Israelites into Latin was the first step. The first step dropped and lost the proper pronunciation of Êvê. With the proper pronunciation lost in translation, in came the second step, which is the new Latin names translation into what we have now, pretty much, which is Hebrew. Next paragraph. The following is the confusion came about. I'll read that again. The following is how the confusion came about, From the time of Abraham until the time of Jesus Christ, the world knew the Israelites as Yod Resh Beit Ain, or Êvê. In time, during the time of Christ, 2,000 years ago, the Roman Empire held the Middle East. I don't like how I read that. In time, during the time of Christ, 2,000 years ago, the Roman Empire ruled the Middle East. There we go. Judea, the home of the Israelites, became a province of the Roman Empire. The national language of the Roman Empire was Latin. Therefore, all the literature people wrote and read was in Latin. Available books not originally written in Latin were all translated into it. Including these translations were the Hebrew scriptures. Yod, Resh, Beit, Ayin, I think I'm saying that right. Êvê, I think I'm not even saying that right though, but Êvê, I'm talking about the modern Aramaic characters masquerading as Hebrew. I don't think I quoted it right. Translated into Latin became Hebraicus. However, as you can see yourself, how you pronounce Hebraicus is nowhere near pronunciation of Êvê. So I'll say it. Hebraicus, Êvê. Hebraicus, Êvê. Hebraicus, Êvê. Hebraicus, Êvê. See, nowhere near. Many years later, Constantine became the new Roman emperor. He converted from his pagan religion and became a Christian. Soon after, he changed the religion of the entire empire to Christianity, the birth of Christendom. For the next 1,000 years, Latin was the dominant language in Christendom, and the Latin translation of the Bible was the de facto book. If you did not read Latin, you did not know what you were missing. Salvation was in the Latin book. Next page. The Reformation in Europe, led by Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King Jr. or Michael King Jr., really. The Reformation in Europe, led by Martin Luther, changed the status quo. Before then, only the small educated minority that read Latin knew of what was in the scriptures. After the Reformation, translation of the Bible began in other European languages, including English. This opened up an unprecedented access of biblical information to anyone who could read his or her local language. However, there was a problem. All these translations were taken from the Latin version instead of the original language. Therefore, instead of using the original name, Ivri, Êvê, the translated Latin name Hebraicus carried into the European languages, which included English. The name Hebrew is the result of translating the Latin Hebraicus into English. Thus, the name Hebrew is the result of a double translation of the original name Êvê. Had the translation been from the original text, the name Yod Resh Veit Ayin, I think, you'd never have heard the name Hebrew. Instead, the proper name Êvê is what people will know as the name of the Israelites. So there you have it. The proper pronunciation in the native language of the ancient Israelites' designation, commonly known as Hebrew in English, is Ivri, or Ivri as they say, pronounced Êvê, or the Êvê, because most modern Bibles are direct translations or carbon copies of the Latin translation. The result is all modern Bibles carry the name Hebrew, derived from the Latin name Hebraicus. Without the Latin name Hebraicus, a direct translation from the original Dead Sea Scrolls, I call them Live Sea Scrolls, would read Êvê instead of Hebrew. Let me repeat. The name Hebrew is the English translation from the original ancient text of the name pronounced Êvê, the Êvê. The people in the area formerly known as the Slave Coast in West Africa are the Êvê, aka the Hebrews. They migrated to Africa 3,000 years after the Babylonians destroyed. Excuse me, I didn't read that right. Let me correct that. They migrated to Africa 3,000 years ago when the Babylonians destroyed their kingdom along with ancient Kemet or ancient Egypt. Since then, Africa has been their home. During the time of the transatlantic slave trade, due to ravages of war, millions of Êvê prisoners of war were transported as slaves to North and South America. Thus, their descendants in these countries are also the Êvê, aka the Hebrews. This includes the freed slaves relocated in Sierra Leone and Liberia. They are all Êvê, like Michael Jackson had that song Liberian Girl, and where the Ben Carter, aka Ben Amin's where they came to before they came to Demona and all that. That's where they were at. Okay. And um brothers who have seen this, and sisters too, everybody who have watched this, have learned something, because it's, the Êvê gets around like Tupac. It's probably a bad analogy, but the name is getting around, and the name has been known in West Africa, but for us over here in the States and in the Caribbeans and South America and all over the place, um, a lot of us didn't know. I've been knowing about this maybe 2-3 years now. I've had Mauvi, his book, A Call to the Hebrews, since I think 2015. So I've had it like 3 years, and he sent me one personally, Royal Mail, 2016, when I was going through a crazy time, like us all, you know, um, and stuff. And then I ended up buying it again just recently, because I read it so much, the pages was falling out. Like, like people that really study their Bible and stuff, and the Tanakh or whatever version of Tanakh you read. Somebody that just study a book a lot that they like, pages start falling out, whatever book you read, So, but not only do I hope, but I know that this really woke somebody up, or as people say in the street, that woke your game up. But I like to say it woke your game. It woke you up to the game so you can know the truth. And I'll definitely be sending this one too, or whatnot. And yeah, some people say Yahuwah, Yah, the Most High. If it be His will, then I'll be doing some more soon. I'm about to put this on Facebook now, a little page and stuff, and I'm almost certain this will be watched. I've already done it now. It just went to it. Shalom, Shalom, that other stuff, Fafa Nawuha, everybody, and have a cool Sabbath. And if you deal with the moon and all them other different things, and shalom and what's up with it and all that stuff, because everybody ain't figured out everything. Some people are more experts in certain arenas than others, which would be the more reason why we should come together. Because to say for any camp, any school, anything, we all have disagreements and all that, and to say that either one of these have 100% truth is bullshit, straight up. Straight up. I don't care. They can say missiles gonna come at me. No, the missiles gonna come at you. For any of them that say that, this ain't a direct diss, but I'm just letting it be known, because you watch them long enough, you first inspired by some of the things, but as you begin to study Torah for yourself, then you begin to see how many lies is being told, regurgitated in, lies and stuff, which is messing up people's lives. You playing with people's lives. But all right, shalom, shalom. Fafa Fafanaua. This is a Dervi, the child, Aja, Yuda Evevio, signing off.